Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of the Early Prelims podcast. I'm Fenyo from the fight side, and we're here to talk about the UFC schedule. I missed last week, so I missed my victory lap about the victory of Zhang Wei Li, but we'll be talking about some other stuff. So yeah, let's get right into business because I want to make this a quick one just to get back in the groove on Mondays, right? Last Saturday we have UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Rodrigues. So Rodrigues has been getting a lot of name wins, as you could say, in the division, and Jared Cannonier obviously coming off a somewhat of a rough patch as of late with the two losses by stoppage, nonetheless. The Mavov that everyone argued it was kind of a early stoppage, but then the Caio Halio. That wasn't a stoppage actually. That went to decision because the referee did not stop that one, man. They were compensating, right? You know what? When that happens, Cannonier was dropped bad. It was a bad drop on that fifth round against Caio Halio. So Cannonier, 40 years old, he faces Gregory Rodrigues, who is kind of younger than you expect. He's 33, I think. So. Okay, let's get into the fight. So Rodrigues, he has pretty decent shot selection. He carries big power, but one big problem for Rodrigues, in my opinion, and that it's reflected in his knockout losses, is that once he starts putting combinations together, he tries to stay aware inside the clinch, he tries to hide behind his lead shoulder, but the head movement, no, it's not there, man. And the shin kind of up in the air, but man. Rodrigues came out like a house on fire here, and he was touching Cannonier, especially with the 1-2, setting stuff up with the jab. And man, Cannonier was having a rough time on that first round, but then the fight settled a little bit. With Rodrigues a little bit more tired, Cannonier started working ways around the jab, started defending well, started to put the pressure on Rodrigues, but it was still a kind of close fight. But then, at the end of round three, Cannonier finds a beautiful right elbow inside the clinch, drops Rodrigues badly. And then, beginning of the fourth round, he just goes for the kill immediately, and that was great instincts by Cannonier and QAnon. And that was the fight. I thought, to be honest, to be quite frankly, I mean, I was happy for Cannonier. I thought that was an impressive performance in the way that he showed resolve. He solved a puzzle here. He overcame adversity, but I did not think he looked great in this fight, to be honest. I think he looked a lot slower than in earlier fights. Cannonier always a tremendous athlete, and he did not look the part here. And also kind of sloppy with some of his techniques. You could tell that he was throwing himself off balance with the left hook a lot of times. And the reaction time is the most concerning part. I would be kind of scared about Cannonier against power punchers moving forward. He still has some craft, he still has some physicality. He looked very strong against Rodrigues, against inside the clinch, especially because Rodrigues is a very big dude. A lot of people, Cannonier included, seem very surprised with the high discrepancy in this one. But I would say that Cannonier is not small middleweight, man. He's a big fucking dude, man. He's heavy muscle. He's a thick guy. He has a big frame. He didn't look that out of place as a fat heavyweight, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, you could tell that maybe Cannonier is a bit broader, but Rodrigues is a fucking huge, probably outweighing Cannonier inside the cage. So yeah, I mean, great for Cannonier, but it's very clear that the prime for Jared, it's over. It wasn't just those two performances. This guy is not at the top of his game anymore. For Rodrigues, it seems like Rodrigues has a very clear ceiling in this division. I feel like he could get ranked with the right matchmaking, but he's never getting into that top 5. Even top 10 is kind of sketchy territory for him. There are so many bad matches, especially. He couldn't manage the card, and that's been a strong point for him in the past. He gets tired, but he fights well tired. Wasn't the case, man, and that's another problem for Rodrigues, is that he doesn't have a lot of depth to his striking. He has good eye for openings, good shot selection, but he's not a very nuanced striker. And you could tell when both guys were very tired, it was Cannonier with the experience, with the nuance taking over. Even though Cannonier used to being like the explosive striker in the matchups, he showed up that he has the craft to take over in fights like this. It was a cool performance. I do not think that Cannonier looked good in this fight, but it was still like an inspiring performance in my opinion. Our co-main event had Yusuf Salal against Kelvin Cater. So again, with Cater we had the doubt that, because he looked very bad in that fight against Aljamain Sterling, but also like it's like maybe it's the matchup, maybe he was like coming back from that knee injury. You never know, right? And Salal is like riding this hype of the 3 finish streak after coming back to the UFC after being caught in what had a lot of like close decisions in his last run, Yusuf Salal. And but again, before the fight, I said like to people talking, because I did not record a podcast, right? But I've been saying that Salal, even if this was like prime Kelvin Cater, like Salal is not a free fight for him. Like it's someone that will jab with him, that will kick actively, that will move around the cage, all very tailor-made to give trouble to Cater. Like not actually like beat him necessarily, but it's like a kind of a bad matchup, especially because Cater is a guy that likes to settle his feet, to have an exchange. He has some similarities to someone like Chris Curtis in that sense, that he can move around the cage, he can cut the cage, but he wants to be right in front of you to start an exchange. And unlike I feel like Cater, unlike a fighter, for example, and this is relative to the divisions, right? For example, unlike a guy like Sean Strickland, for example, Cater doesn't have a lot of tools to force you into getting into those kind of exchanges. He only has like a very good jab. But as I said, like Salal is kind of the same height, was going to jab with him, was moving around, and it looked like that on the first 2 rounds. And to be fair, like I feel like Cater is like diminished physically. He's not the same guy anymore. I'm comfortable saying this. Good news for Cater though, he still has like very strong hips, and his reaction to takedowns look a lot better here than against Sterling. Obviously Sterling a better wrestler than Salal and a different build. So he has like an easier level change into a guy like against a guy like Cater. But getting back into the fight, Salal here moving around with the jab, leg kicks. Very great use of the jab. He was moving Cater around. When I say moving around, is that he's turning him when he's like sidestepping Cater. As I said, like Cater, when he's moving forwards, he can like move diagonally. He can cut the cage a little bit, but he wants to be right in front of you, right? So he's always like turning around, trying to follow you. So even though he has some ideas of how to cut the cage, you can tell he's not a pressure fighter. He's like a boxer puncher that wants to get into exchanges. And Salal was dictating when exchanges happen, and he was mixing in he was trying with his knee entries a few times. Those are great. Those are very interesting, and some like level changes into takedowns that were not very successful, but were keeping Cater on his toes, right? Cater, who is working now with his teammate Rob Font at TriStar MMA. So it was interesting to see if TriStar was giving Cater any like new things, new looks. The only thing that I kind of saw was that Cater flirting a little bit with a high elbow guard a few times, and you know that those TriStar guys are like kind of obsessed with guards, so they try different stuff. But yeah, man, and the first 2 rounds, Salal looked fantastic, and then on the 3rd round, he went to coast hard, and I think this was a very bad look and a very bad decision. Salal dropped the output, dropped the aggressiveness, because he was like fighting aggressively from the outside, I felt, on those first 2 rounds. He was like keeping a hold of the initiative, and then on the 3rd round, he conceded the initiative completely to Cater and was relying on his movement and defense to stay safe. And I think it was like way safer to just keep the output on Cater. He was winning very comfortably that fight, even though Cater, you know, he was going to go for broke here. Salal doesn't have like, he has good mobility, but the footwork, when it gets sketchy, he doesn't have like tight pivots. He kind of like circles kind of wide at times, and then he was like, he has good reflexes and good eyes, but he doesn't have like a very layered defensive system. Cater was not able to capitalize on that. But I guess Cater won that 3rd round, and Salal was like trying to play it safe, but I think playing it safe was dumb, and it wasn't safe actually. I thought it was a very bad look on Salal, because he was looking great up to that point. Maybe I don't know, man. I feel like he would have had an easier time fighting the same fight that he fought on the first 2 rounds. I thought it was a bad decision, man. But I don't know. It may be something about Montoya fighters that get on that bike like super hard when they feel like they're ahead. Maybe they feel like that's the safest way to secure the win, but I don't agree with that. And then Shabasian fought Dylan Bodka before that. Classic Shabasian early finish here. Bodka enters range with a lazy double jab. Shabasian steps back on the first one. Kind of like mix of a pull counter, but goes to the side, like kind of cross counter too. But not really, because Bodka's jab was not like out anymore. But yeah, he just nails him with a nasty right hand. Put him out for good. And I thought he moved to mount to finish it. It was nasty, man. Nassim Salikov and Ismail Bonfim had the most look forward fight, to me at least, and to many people. And it kind of delivered for as long as it lasted. Bonfim was having his way with Salikov, who, by the way, long time Serra Longo fighter, or Serra Whiteman, I think it's called now. And now he's splitting time with John Wood at Syndicate, just like Barabbas. Yeah, Bonfim was like winning this fight. Salikov was trying to do like some rolling and some high elbow guard here, but Bonfim was having his way with him, man. He was like extending combinations, finding the openings. Bonfim was looking great, but then Salikov punishes Bonfim, like changing levels with his hands down, because he goes for the question mark kick and lands shin to the eye, man, and hurts him bad. It was still a very close round. I think you can still score that round for Bonfim, I think, because he landed so much and very good connections. But clearly, like, Bonfim got hurt, but the volume differential was so big that I think you can argue giving that round to either guy, okay? Okay, so round ends, Bonfim survives, but then I feel like the doctor, like, discovers. I don't know if Bonfim ever said or what, but yeah, Bonfim couldn't see from his right eye, and the fight got stopped. Fight just got stopped because like the doctor realized, oh, this guy cannot see, and if you cannot see, you cannot go into the next round, and those are the rules, right? Some people kind of mad about this one. I mean, I know it was anticlimactic, and I was rooting for Bonfim here. I like both guys a lot, but I think like Bonfim was fighting the right fight. But it's a clean win by Salikov. Like, that's one way of winning, man. And I feel like this is like a lot better of a win than a cut. Like cut, I feel it's a lot more up to chance. I mean, not that this one is not, but you know what I mean. Like, it was a clean win by Salikov, in my opinion. Like, kind of sucks for Bonfim. It's like bad luck, you know. But I would not run this back. Like, Salikov deserves his win. He deserves to fight up on his next one. A tough luck for Bonfim, man, because I feel like he's ready to make that jump, man, to fight better fighters, and he was here like fighting another like kind of high level prospect that could make his way into the top 15. Rough, man. Hope Bonfim's eyes is fine. I don't know if he broke an orbital ward. Salikov, man, hopefully we see him in action soon again. Petrosky and Rodolfo Vieira had a grapplers kickboxing match. And it was okay, I guess. Petrosky like being more dynamic, more fluid, but Vieira, as I said, like the better schooled of the two, more disciplined. Vieira was finding a nasty jab to the body on that second round, but then Petrosky like kind of mute that, going southpaw a lot on that third round, and Petrosky put the activity. Rodolfo just doesn't trust his striking, man. Very good takedown defense by Petrosky, who is obviously a very high level wrestler. Vieira could not get it to the ground. Good win for Petrosky. Jose Delgado, MMA Live guy, made his debut against Conor Matthews, a Contender Series guy. Beautiful finish with the overhand right. Moves right into mouth. Beautiful ground pound. Don't remember much other than that, but the Jose Delgado guy looked good, man. Angela Hill and Caitlin Sosa had a very good fight. An impressive showing by Sosa, because like I've seen her gas in the past. He has some good looks to her, especially when she punches to the body. She punches very hard, and Angela Hill has been dealing with these like hard hitting girls in the division. And the round one was like a textbook like Angela Hill dominating performance. just like landing nasty knees to the body inside the clinch, then getting a takedown. Then from working from top, landing knees to the body from the turtle position. But then the second round, Sosa comes alive. I'm very surprised that she did not get like that tired after that onslaught to the body by Hill. Sosa obviously clearly the bigger puncher of the two, bigger fighter of the two too. Hill is not a big strawweight man. And then the third round was very close. I thought it was a very cool fight. You can score that like either way. It was cool. It was a cool fight, man. It was good. And I'm glad finally split decision goes in Angela Hill's way. Because like, I've been saying, man, that record is the most deceptive record in MMA, in high level MMA. Like, Angela Hill is 18-14. Like, that's some Mark Hunt ass looking record. She's so good, man. I will always defend Angela Hill, love her as a fighter, and I think she's very good. She's also like 40 years old, like just like Cannonier, man, and she was looking like better, to be honest. Rafael Esteban made his return. I mean, he was out for more than a year, I think. His last fight, he beat Charles Johnson, and you know that win aged very well. He fought Jesus Aguilar. These guys got into crazy scrambles. Aguilar always going for the guillotine. Esteban always looking for the back takes. But at the end, it was like the superiority on Esteban's grappling overall and the wrestling. He was able to get like more top position overall in the fight, and that was like the deciding factor. Even though he got like very tired on the third round, he was still able to survive to get to top position after a scramble. Gabriel Bonfim, and I maintain that Gabriel is not as good as Ismael, but Gabriel Bonfim fought Chaos William, and you can tell Bonfim has lost some of his swagger after losing his undefeated record, but he's trying to improve, man, and he's like fighting behind the jab. The big problem that I have with Gabriel against Ismael is that Ismael has like beautiful side-to-side head movement, while Gabriel is just like pullbacks all the time because he's very tall for the division, while Ismael is like a stocky guy. But yeah, I mean, Chaos Williams showed some of the improvements that I thought I saw in his last win, a big knockout win, but against Carson Harris, right? But yeah, it wasn't enough because Chaos Williams just doesn't have the nuance and the craftiness to win like the big fights when he doesn't hold like huge athletic advantage. And Gabriel Bonfim is a tremendous athlete himself, and it's pretty durable, man. So Bonfim got going with the jab, and that was like Bonfim looking at his best there because he was like setting stuff up with the jab, putting the leg kicks behind him, trying to find the left hook when Williams was trying to look to close the distance. And then he found the darts, man. Okay, that's his thing, man. He's like budget Vicente Luque, but he's very good with the darts, and he got another one. Elijah Smith made his UFC debut against Vince Morales. Very good fight to this one too. Morales tried to put on the pace here, but then on that second round he went out looking for anacondas and Peruvian neckties. His classic like front headlock series, and I felt like Morales kind of had like a cardio advantage, and he threw that one away. And that third round, it was just Smith just being the more like dynamic of the two, landing with more volume, with more impact. But then Morales almost got that Shavkat Drakhmanov against Jeff Neal, or rear naked choke, standing no hooks against Smith. That was in, man, but ran out of time. But it was a cool fight, one of the better ones of the evening. Walter Walker, the brother of Johnny Walker, which, by the way, Walker is not the surname of these guys, the real surname. He fought Dante Mace, who got ranked out of nowhere because the UFC cut some ranked heavyweights, and now Walter Walker, it's probably now a ranked heavyweight, right? He wins with a heel hook inside Ashi, I think. Just absolute meme, man. Just 2 heel hooks wins in a row for Walter Walker. Dante Mace, by the way, who lost already by heel hook in the UFC against Cyril Gane. And I'm not completely sure, but he might be the only guy in the last 10 years that has lost twice to heel hook in the UFC. I don't know, man. But yeah, Walter Walker, now a ranked heavyweight. The opener, Jacqueline Cavalcanti fought Julia Avila, who retired after this fight, and this one was a snoozer, man. This one was rough to watch. By the way, watching live, the first round was very nothing round, like barely anything landed by Avila. Landed like the better leg kicks in my opinion, and landed like two solid hard right hands to the head. While Cavalcanti didn't land much, even though she was having the optics and moving forwards. So I scored that one like watching live to Avila, and then I got a bunch of loser bettors, man, like, oh, you need to watch another sport. Oh, get a new hobby, bro. Shut the fuck up, you sorry ass bettor, man. What are you talking about? I'm not talking crap to the actual good bettors that know their shit. I'm just talking about these like losers with 300 followers on Twitter who are yapping to nobody because you don't have a following and nobody care about your shitty plays. You don't understand this sport, okay? Why are people getting mad about this stupid ass round, that one of the worst rounds of the year? Because Cavalcanti was like a minus 1,000 favorite, and obviously these losers are patting themselves on the back because of, oh, Cavalcanti, easy money. Like, you're winning like 5 cents out of like $1 for betting on Cavalcanti. And obviously I understand that she was part of Prelims and all that kind of stuff. I don't give a shit, man. Like, why do you care? It was a terrible round. The girl won. Why do you care, man? Bettors are such losers, man. And I'm not even bothered. Like, I've always have thought this. Like, there are like very cool guys out there. Like TV Guru, Dan Tom, some other guys that I follow on Twitter. They are cool guys that know their stuff. But man, most of the bettors, they don't understand jack shit, man. And you don't have to understand the sport like super well to make plays, man. That's another thing. Like, you can go on Instagram and do well if you're lucky, man. I do not respect that shit, man. Just wanted to get off that shit, man. I mean, wanted to get that shit off my chest. But man, what do I know, man? I'm just someone that has been getting some scouting work by some pro fighters. And you're a guy with 300 followers on Twitter, giving the place, man, giving the place, putting some money here to earn some cash. Shut up, man, shut up. Okay, let's get into... So that was the event. It was okay, I guess. It was okay. I was having fun watching live, but then my live stream died when I just after like Cannonier hurt Hovakop in that third round, man. That sucked. Okay, let's get quickly into some fight announcements. Joshua Ban was supposed to fight Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva is out, and now Ban is fighting Rey Suruya. Tremendous fight at flyweight, man. Prospect against prospect violence. It is so good, man. We'll see. Ban looked very good against a wrestler, against Cody Durden. Suruya, probably a better wrestler and a better grappler than Durden, but I would probably guess that Durden a lot better on the feet. And Joshua Ban put on a beating, man. So I guess I would have to watch some tape, because I'm not like super sure like what kind of takedowns Suruya favors usually. And I've seen some vulnerabilities from Ban in his takedown defense, some sketchy stuff. But he's very athletic though. So yeah, this is a great fight. I'm looking forward to it like big time. What else we have? Jalen Turner is fighting my countryman Ignacio Bahamondes. This is lanky Langfuck on Langfuck action, man. I have nothing against Ignacio Bahamondes, but I'm not a huge fan of his style, and I'm not the kind of guy that just roots for a guy just for his style. So I gotta say, man, I think Jalen Turner has a cooler style, but I get the feeling, man, that Jalen Turner is like kind of done mentally. I hope I'm wrong, because I think he's a very cool fighter. But I think Bahamondes might be like the more consistent guy, but man, Turner is like way bigger puncher, man. And like gets aggressive, he can like close in on people, and Bahamondes, like if you push him, he's going to take the back foot. So I don't know, man. It's a very interesting fight. This is going on UFC 313. By the way, the main event for the 313 is finally we're going to see Poatan fighting Ankalaev. Not going to get like super deep into that one, because we'll talk about that when we get to the full preview the week of the fight, right? Cedric Dumas is fighting Michal Oleksiejczuk, and I'm just mentioning this because I'm very surprised that they haven't caught Michal Oleksiejczuk. And I'm very glad because I like him a lot as a fighter, even though I feel like he's clearly out of his prime, especially because like he's like less physical now at middleweight than he used to be at like heavyweight. I don't know, man. Dumas probably going to look for takedowns here to win. I feel like this is winnable for Oleksiejczuk, to be honest. Hope he wins. Santiago Ponzinibbio is fighting Daniel Rodrigues, and this one is like jank weight. This is pure jank weight. This is all the way jank weight, man. I'm not going to say anything else about this. They're going to be in open stances. They're going to exchange like stupid ass 1-2s the whole fight. Might be interesting or might get a little bit boring. I don't know, man. I feel like D-Rod kind of bad for Ponzinibbio, but I feel like both guys out of their primes. Alonso Menifield is fighting Julius Walker, who I follow and he follows me on Twitter. So he seems to be very active in the MMA Twitter community. So shout out for Julius Walker, man. And they are fighting this weekend. So just wanted to give a shout out to Julius. Josh Emmett is fighting Lerone Murphy. A great fight, man. Emmett like clearly passed it, I guess. But Murphy gets hit, man. He got hit by Mosquitinho, he got hit by Ige in his last one, and you do not want to get hit by Josh Emmett. I feel like this is a clear fight that Murphy takes over late if he makes it there, but Emmett has cardio, so he carries that power late. So I feel like this is a very dangerous fight for Murphy. If Murphy like makes it, there's a very good look in his book, because I feel like this is kind of a bad matchup for him, so very interesting fight. Manuel El Loco Torres is fighting Drew Dover, so this one is like a test to see if Dover is done after, because he kind of looked kind of rough in that Jan Silva fight. But Torres got kind of exposed by Montes, right? Like I had hopes of Torres being like this like crafty crazy man, but he's just the crazy man part and not a lot of craft. He has very good eyes for finding strikes, but he doesn't have a lot of defense. He throws himself out of balance, and Dover has that huge left hand, man. So if Dover cannot win this one, it's looking rough for him. Darren Elkins is fighting Julian Erosa, Juicy J. Interesting fight. Because Darren Elkins is not like the power puncher that usually puts Erosa out on the first round. But at the same time, I feel like Elkins kind of one of the few guys in the division that can probably like get consistent takedowns and escape all the like tricky guillotines from Erosa. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not counting out the damage out of this one, man. I feel like it could get ugly if they stay on the feet a little long. But if like the Elkins start fighting takedowns and that mix in with the boxing on the feet, like I can see the damage pulling it off, man. Jonderson Breacher is fighting Pat Sabatini. Very interesting, right? Because Sabatini is like we've seen Sabatini like hit shots on the feet, and Breacher is a huge hitter. Brito is a good grappler, but he's not on the level of Sabatini, right? So this one is like... And Brito has been relying on being the wrestler a lot in fights. So it will be interesting. I'm guessing via MMA logic that Brito will try to keep this one on the feet. And I think that's the right call in this occasion. So we will see if Sabatini is able to take him down. Because Brito has some like deficiencies in his takedown defense. But he's so fucking strong, man. And Sabatini himself is a tank, so... But I gotta give the physicality edge to someone here, it's gonna be on Jonderson Breacher's corner. Daniel Selhoover is fighting Elvis Brenner, and this is going to be a fucking war unless like Brenner is kind of done and Selhoover just washes him. But I don't know, man. Brenner is a fucking dog, man. We saw that against Alvarez, against Orolbai. Selhoover, man. Selhoover might not look like a dog. He might look like a guy that wants to keep it clean, but he's a fucking dog, man. We all saw that fight of the year against my boy Ribovich. By the way, if you want to see alternate commentary for that fight, I recorded that. It's on the Patreon. So head over to the Patreon and watch that fight with my beautiful boys over. What else we have? Brandon Moreno is fighting Steve Erceg. Fantastic fight. Not a huge guy, and not a huge fan of either guy, but this is fucking great, man. This is going on Mexico. We have a UFC Mexico on March 29th. What else we have? Cameron Smotherman Shout out to my boy Trey who trains with him. He's fighting Seri CD, and this looks like a banger, man. This looks like a fucking banger. CD is a dog, man. Smaller man probably like the more craftier striker of the two, but CD comes at you, man. So it will be interesting to see. Royval was supposed to fight Manel Cap in what was a very interesting fight, and now Cap is fighting Asul Almabayev. Still very interesting, but I think I gotta favor Cap here. But Almabayev is like a horse, man. He's kind of small for flyweight, but he's so strong, so dynamic, and a wrestler. And I mean, Cap's defensive wrestling has been looking fantastic, so we'll see. Eliseo Saleski dos Santos is fighting Shidi and Jokwani. This is like a do-over for Saleski dos Santos. He's like, okay, fight Rude Boy again, but this time he's a worse grappler. So we'll see if Saleski dos Santos can get the rear naked choke or not. If they stay on the feet, this should be fun. But we saw Saleski struggling with the reach of Rude Boy. But Shidi and Jokwani a different kind of striker. They're going to kick each other to pieces if this one stays on the feet. But yeah, cool fight. Rafa Garcia is fighting Joaquim Silva, Neto VJJ. Interesting fight because like Joaquim Silva looked very good defending takedowns against Clay Guida and also against Arman Sarukian, right? In a fight that he ended up getting finished, but he hurt Sarukian very bad too. Former training partner Silva with Sarukian, by the way. So interesting to see against Garcia, who is like taking that role of like this like active like rugged wrestler in the division. Now that Grant Dawson is like higher up the division and also beat Rafa Garcia. It's a cool fight. Buchenik is coming back after his banger of a fight against Kutateladze. He's fighting Chris Duncan in UFC London. UFC London that is headlined by Leon Edwards against Jack Della Maddalena. So my boys are fighting, man. Why do I get this? I mean, this is a tremendous fight, but I don't know, man. I guess I'm rooting for Jack Della, man. I don't understand why some people, a lot of like, I don't know, man. I love Jack Della Maddalena, man. I feel like he's the dopest fighter, like, and I feel like a lot of my friends are like, yeah, he's alright. He's like a cool action fighter. I'm like, no, dude. But anyway. Now, this is a cool fight, Buchenik versus Duncan, and Jack Della versus Leon Edwards is fucking fantastic, man. It's a great fight. What else we have? Kevin Vallejos, the Argentinian, who showed up with the best boxing performance in the last season of Contender Series. He's debuting against Sun Wo Choi. Interesting because, if I remember right, Vallejos is kind of stocky for the division, and Sun Wo Choi is huge. Vallejos probably has a lot of chances of killing him inside the pocket, but Sun Wo Choi has his own left hook that it's a killer. He has been wrestling quite a lot in his last few fights, so interesting fight. A lot of guys are like, oh, Reeve Sun Wo Choi, and probably I expect Vallejos to be the favorite here, but and it's Vallejos, by the way. Like Argentinians says Vallejos because that's just the way they pronounce the double L in Spanish, but that's not his name, okay? Like getting back into what matters, like. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like super hype on Vallejos, and I understand that. But I feel like this is a high level debut for him, so this is not an easy fight. He might make it look easy, but I feel like there's a lot of easier fights for him in the division, I feel. Kenny Nzechukwu is fighting Martin Budai, and this is a bit interesting because it's like finally Nzechukwu is fighting like a guy that is fucking huge, because like Nzechukwu is a big dude, so he moved up to heavyweight and he has been like bigger than everyone. So now he's fighting someone that is like maybe bigger than him. But that is a big ass dude. But he's also kind of fat, so maybe they're like close in size when it comes to like lean mass. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Nzechukwu like it's like fulfilling the role of a better Budai right now. So I think I'm favoring him here. Yan Xiaonan is fighting Birna Jandirova. This should be, by all accounts, for a title shot opportunity, right? Both girls. I mean, Yan Xiaonan rebounded big time after her loss to Zhang Weili in a fight that she hurt Weili like 3 times or twice, I don't remember. And then she had like that very impressive performance against Tabata Ricci, right? And Birna has been on a run, man. And let me tell you, man, you could score like Birna against Birna's fight against Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Ribas. You could score those for Birna, so No, maybe not Amanda Ribas, but she has been improving a lot. She has become a better wrestler, and her grappling is so resourceful. So obviously this is a classic striker versus grappler matchup. But I feel like at this stage, like Birna is a better combo of grappler and wrestler than Mackenzie Dern is. Obviously Dern has the power and the dynamism on the feet that Birna doesn't have. But I feel like Birna is shaping up to be maybe a better MMA fighter than Mackenzie Dern. So yeah, I'm excited for this one, man. Marina Rodrigues is fighting Jillian Robertson, another striker versus grappler. We'll see, man. The takedown defense by Marina has not been there. Do I trust that against like an actual girl that can wrestle and grapple and is strong? It's not a former atom weight. I don't know, man. But at the same time, Marina should have a huge advantage on the feet, and she loves having that advantage on the feet. I feel like Marina is a lot less effective when she's like striking against someone that also throws hit back her way and has some craft. So we'll see, man. Michel Pereira with high train derailed by my boy Fluffy. He's fighting Abus Magomedov. And man, everyone like makes fun out of Abus because he got tired against Chance Strickland, got finished. Oh, you got finished by Strickland, right? But man, I feel like Abus is very solid. I guess I'm rooting for him, man. I've never been into that much into Michel Pereira. Even when he looks good, he's kind of annoying to me. I don't know, man. He's a fucking beast, though. Kevin Holland dropping back to 170 and the 185 experiment didn't work out again. He's fighting Gunnar Nelson. Very cool fight, actually, because like Gunnar, underrated wrestler, killer on the mat, but Kevin Holland is not that bad of a grappler. We'll see how he deals with this sleeping karate style of Gunnar Nelson, right? He didn't do that well. I mean, we already saw Kevin Holland losing to MVP and to Wonderboy badly both occasions. Like obviously Gunnar Nelson not that good of a striker as those guys, but he kind of has that like blitzing karate style, mixing with the takedowns, mixing with being like a legit very high level black belt. So interesting fight. My girl Omaluk Bumi is back and she's fighting Ariane Carnelossi. This was announced like a year ago, but I haven't been on like on the podcast grind, so I gotta get back to it. I like this fight because I think like Loma is going to win, so I like this. And I don't like this. Jim Miller is fighting Chase Hoover, and as a Jim Miller fan, I'm scared as shit, man, because Chase Hoover looking violent as of late, and Jim Miller is all... Oh man, I'm scared about this one, dude. Chase Hoover turning into a beast. I didn't expect that, man. Not rooting for him, by the way. Like he's like at 155, he's developing, and he's like a better athlete than I was expecting. Turning into a better wrestler than I was expecting, a better striker. So he's like putting it together, man, and makes it for a scary fight against my boy Jim Miller. Talking about my boys, man. King Green is fighting Mauricio Huffy at UFC 313. I feel like Huffy is like obviously very dynamic. He has some craft. He's so dangerous, but I feel like he's like exactly the kind of fight for King Green to clown, especially down the line, especially after we saw with Huffy and John Top in his last fight. But cannot trust Bobby Green anymore, man. Cannot trust him. I think he's going to go to sleep here, and I hate to say this because I'm a huge King Green fan. Ricardo Ramos is moving to fighting Nurse, and he's fighting Shepe Mariscal. Absolute banger of a fight. This is no way this does not deliver, man. This is going to fuck, man. And let's like finish all the announcements. Marvin Vettori is rematching Roman Dolidze. This is all news too, but this is a fucking main event. Like, dude, that fight was fucking awful, dude. That sucked ass. Why are you doing this to me, brother? I don't know, man. This is a bad main event, man. It's like neither guy has any hopes of doing anything in this division at this point. Like we saw, like Dolidze lost to Vettori, got clowned by Imavov. And Vettori, man, Vettori just lost to Cannonier, and we saw Cannonier like going to life and death with Hovokov, who's not even ranked. So it's such a nothing fight, man. They just love middleweights. So yeah, and those are the fights that I haven't had the opportunity to talk about with you guys. Let's get into some I mean, not into some fight announcement. We already had enough of that, right? This Saturday, we have a great main event. Henry Cejudo is coming back. He's fighting Song Yadong. Gotta give an edge to Song Yadong here. The first layer wrestling has been looking very strong. Song Yadong can be held down, but Cejudo is not that, like, especially at bantamweight. He has never been like that good at holding people down. Henry Cejudo is like old, 2 combat sport careers. He's small. Song Yadong is huge. He's so fast. He's way younger. This is insanely basic MMA analysis. This is like some better ass analysis, but man. And then it's stylistically too, man. Like Cejudo depends a lot on kicks over at bantamweight. Song Yadong is a guy that deals with kicks very well. Cejudo like has to close distance a lot. Song Yadong has a nasty trigger on the counters. I feel like this is a bad matchup at this stage for Cejudo. Cejudo better get those takedowns, man. Because I don't even feel like in the clinch he can get a lot going. Co-main event is a rematch. Is it like 7 years in the making? It's Brendan Allen. He's fighting my boy Fluffy Hernandez. They had a great fight in LFA back in the day. I think it was for the title. And disclaimer here, like, I always ride for Fluffy, but I gotta say, Brendan Allen, one of the worst stylistic matchups in the division for Anthony Hernandez, because very solid striker, solid wrestler, and one of the few guys that can actually grapple with Hernandez. So Hernandez, and this is only 3 rounds, so Hernandez doesn't have a lot of time to take over. We've seen Brendan Allen get tired. But you know, Fluffy can be a slow starter, and I feel like out of the gate, Brendan Allen is the sharper striker. I feel like Hernandez like builds onto his success, and he gets good, especially he makes defensive reaves and gets going with the jab later in fights. Out of the gate, I feel like Allen is the superior striker, so very interesting fight. Rob Font is fighting Jan Matsumoto. Interesting, right? Matsumoto was on fire last year, but he was mainly fighting wrestlers, so it will be interesting to see how he does against Rob Font here, a more dedicated striker, who is also obviously a good grappler for Rob Font is. But we see Matsumoto how much he goes to the wrestling here, how he does on the feet, because Rob Font is going to have a big reach advantage here. He's going to put his jab to good use, but at the same time, Rob Font kinda shaky as of late. Jan Silva from the Fighting Nerds is fighting Melsik Bagdasaryan. Great fight, to be honest. I feel like Jan Silva is a very bad matchup though. But I rate Bagdasaryan. I feel like he's very good. Kind of underrated in the division, if anything, but I feel like this is kind of puzzling though. I thought like Jan Silva should be fighting higher up the division, especially after like having like such a big win a division up. But I don't know, man. I don't understand the UFC nowadays. Also, many feel he's fighting Julius Walker. We'll see how Julius Walker does in his debut. This is a high level debut, man. Also, many feel is for real at like heavyweight. Andre Fili is fighting Malkisa Costa. Kind of feel like Fili is bad for Costa, because Costa mostly just a kicker on the feet, and then he goes to wrestle like a lot, and Fili is like super solid as a wrestler, and he's going to control with the jab. But Fili is also kind of old, and Costa might find a head kick or something. Ivo Kutelava is fighting Ivo Aslan. This is going to be a mess, probably an enjoyable one. Rusiboyev is coming back. He's fighting some guy called Eric Makoniko. No idea who that is, I'm sorry. Ricky Simon, or how we call him now, Ricky Simon, because he lost his dog. He's fighting Javid Basharat. Expecting Basharat to win here, to be honest. But Ricky Simon should be a complicated matchup, because if Basharat like always likes to mix in the wrestling, and Simon is like a better wrestler than him, like straight up. Some dude Nick Klein is making his debut against Mansour Abdul Malik, who has been looking like a beast, gotta say that. And the opener is Modestas Bukauskas against Rafael Cerqueira. Cerqueira, who was like mostly smashing cans on the Brazilian regional circuit, and lost like big time against Ivo Aslan. I would guess like Bukauskas win here. He's like solid. Yeah, that's the event. Thank you guys for joining in. I wanted to make this one like super quick. Didn't end up making this like insanely quick, but it's whatever. Thank you for joining. Remember that if you want to support me, head over to Patreon, the fight site. A lot of alternate commentaries, a lot of exclusive articles, videos that have been pulled off of YouTube for copyright reasons. You can check out a lot of that. There's a lot of analysis, exclusive content over there, and you can help me maintain this running. So please, if you have any spare dollar, head over to Patreon, give me a little bit of money, and in return you get a lot of exclusive content, and you support me with doing this. Thank you so much, guys. I'll catch you guys during the week on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on Threads. And also on Saturday during the fights, because I'll be doing Fight Companion as always. Thank you guys, I'm Fenyo and I'm signing out.